Good evening, folks. Triple Crown here, coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia. Well, we're here to talk about Global War 1939 tonight. Even though I'm currently have a BBR game set up, but in playing these games, folks, whether it's Global War 1939 or BBR, I want to talk about playing online. Now, you can play online versus via YouTube, or you can play what some of us have started doing is playing via WhatsApp. Now, a few years ago when the pandemic started, we couldn't always meet our buddies face to face. So, one of the positives that might have come out of the pandemic was people started to play board games and people started to play games online or via YouTube or via WhatsApp. Now I want to do a quick shout out to some of the other YouTube content creators out there that have a great selection of YouTube games online. Hambone sometimes has multiple games going on multiple tables on YouTube, so I consider him one of the best creators of YouTube stuff. The Hilltop Pillbox, he's always got lots of content. He does these great round summaries. He's playing different games, and the way he explains things and narrates things, it is next level. Also, the Chaplain, man, his presentation, his enthusiasm, his jokes, the little monologues he has at the beginning, the music he plays in the background. And whether he wins or whether he loses, it's entertainment. It's pure entertainment. And part of the reason part of my love for the game when I don't always get to play is watching other people's channels and seeing what they're doing, what's going on. So thank you to those creators out there for that. Now my current game, I'm playing as my teammates Detroit and Cireblood, and we are playing what I would consider, if you were to order rank the top BBR players in the world in any order, maybe 3 of the top 5, which is G.I. Joe, VK, and Hambone. Now, if anybody's ever had the pleasure of playing Joe, his game is next level. I never know what he's going to do. He seems to always position his stuff. He has lots of aircraft on the board, and he makes you pay. And he's just so mobile, and he knows the rules so well that he will put you in a position that you do not want to be in, and he will whittle you down, and it's too late. Now, this is also my first time playing Hambone, and Hambone, I would describe his gameplay like a surgeon. He does not make errors. His decision making, the moves that he makes are precise with purpose. You are not going to outmaneuver him, outsmart him, do some strategy or Hail Mary, because he has seen and done it all. He is a true veteran, a true top player. And another guy who I think is just an absolute riot to play against, and that's VK Cowboy. Now, VK, in my experience, he's a numbers guy. He's in the financial industry. He sees the game, and I call him the gunslinger, and that's because he's a very aggressive player. Well, how did he get that way? Well, he sees the game at a level that I don't think any of us else do. If you've seen the movie The Matrix, when Keanu Reeves was understanding the code, you just saw a bunch of things running down the screen, and then when he got better, he just saw the Matrix. He saw it crystal clear for what it was. And to me, when VK is looking at the board, all these numbers and these mathematical things that are happening, he just sees it crystal clear instantly, faster than any of the rest of us do, which allows him to do these calculations or whatever he needs to do. But that also suits his style, because he knows before he does something what every possible odd is, and that gives him an advantage. Man, and they are tough. And my teammates, Detroit, I've been playing Detroit now as my partner going back over a year now, and we've been playing via WhatsApp and something he refers to as the Academy. I don't know, I'm not sure why he calls it that, but I can tell you that I've never met an individual that as competitive, as determined as Detroit to improve his game over the last year and a half. And I would say his game now is at the top. I mean, he's won the last St. Louis, he won the last BBR. I mean, he's the only individual to do that. So shout out to Detroit for his hard work, perseverance, dedication, and his competitiveness, which has really brought his game to the next level. In Sired, I mean, everything Sired does is cool. Wait back to his original G40 videos talking about the Cobra Kai or the Green Shores. I mean, he just makes things look cool. He makes them look cool on a level that I definitely appreciate. And talking strategy with him is he sees if all of us see the game on a 2 or 3D level, he sees the game on a 4D level, and he comes up with this creative stuff that is beyond my scope of imagination. So he's a fantastic teammate. Now, in this game we're currently playing, I just want to say it's been hilarious. There's been a moment where an individual, they had to put their camera down so it looked like part of their turn was in the dark. G.I. Joe has painted VK's units pink to kind of give him a hard time, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a ton of fun. We're currently about halfway through the game. I'm playing Russia, so I'm okay showing you the part of the board where the Russian units are, but I don't want to show you too much because some people like to keep their game private. Now, if you're going to do a game via WhatsApp, just in terms of how it works, now you can send a video to your chat group that's 5 minutes long. So typically what I like to do is do my purchases and declare my attacks and where everything's going in the first part. The second part is the dice rolling in a separate video, and third video would be your non-com movements, placement of units, and collect income. And you can do this, send these videos to a group all at once, or send them to your teammates when you're talking strategy. And if you're doing, which I did not know as a YouTube creator, you can actually send your videos to your team, to the group privately, so only your group can view. So that's the mechanics of that. And another fantastic player that I've learned from, which I want to do an interview with him, and that's Gargantua. And Gargantua's strategy is actually very similar to Joe's, and they just position their pieces on the board in a way that give you no good options. And how do you do that? Well, if you're ever talking about, special forces or elite forces, whether the Delta Force or the Navy SEALs, when you watch these videos, and why are they the best and how do they train? And that is because when they train, they have this motto where they do things slowly first before they get fast. And playing games in this manner is going to allow players to slow things down. You might have a week to do your turn, or 3 or 4 days to do your turn. And if you're able to slow things down, break down the actual mechanics of your turn, what you're going to do, it might allow you to see the errors in your game that you might not see if you're doing things in real time. So what you want to do when it's not your turn is be thinking about what you want to do, how you're going to plan things, what purchases you're going to make, what are your attacks, but how are you going to be able to follow that up? And this is what Gargantua does, but he does it, he's already gone through all this, crawl before you walk before you run stuff. And playing via WhatsApp or YouTube is going to allow you to go through those steps of learning. So I think it's a fantastic learning tool. And you talk about, bad habits in your game. And how do you eliminate those bad habits in your game? Well, in hockey they teach players in practice that when they're going to the net, they always have their stick on the ice. Well, why would you want to do that? Why do you always want to have your stick on the ice? Or at least practice that. It seems like such a silly concept. And that is because if you're going skating towards the net in a hockey game and your stick's, around your waist, you're not on the ice, and all of a sudden the puck bounces to you, you've already missed your opportunity because you cannot get your stick on the ice fast enough to get that shot away to get a goal. Chances are that puck's by you and the opportunity's gone. So playing via WhatsApp and via YouTube is going to allow you, in a sense, as if you're a hockey player, when you're skating towards the net, have your stick on the ice. You want to start developing those good habits. Now, what do I mean? What am I talking about? Good habits. When you're talking about, you want to be able to do the same things in the same order all the time, is because what you're trying to do is eliminate your mistakes. And what I've learned in the last, year and a half that I've, playing at a more competitive level, or at least getting my game up to a more competitive level, is trying to work on these little micro efficiencies, getting these mistakes out of my game. And how do you, get into things where you're doing the same thing the same way every single time? Now, if you're going to declare your battles, these are the roundels that we all use. I've got these little yellow stickers on the back of mine, which you can get at Staples, or $2 or $3, and you put them on the back. If I'm going to make an attack, a new territory, or multiple territories, before I even do any of my purchases, I just want to mark them all. This is what I want to do. These are the attacks that I want to make. I'm declaring them all. Because this way, there's just so much going on visually, and you want to make it cognitively easier on your brain. So that is one of the first things that I like to do. You can also do other things, like, I've got these little arrows. You can get different arrows, whether they're blue, whether they're red, or whatever you want. These ones I think are HBG and Combat Miniature sells them, and one says non-combat, one says combat. So if you want to remind yourself to do something after the battle is over, you can mark it out. You can mark out where these guys are coming from. If you put an arrow on the board and say you want an aircraft or a certain unit to come in, it's going to help remind you. It's going to help you if you're doing 10 different battles. Having that one arrow, when you see it later on, you might remember, instead of bringing a guy from this territory on, you're going to remember that you also wanted to bring in those 2 extra tanks. And you also want to be able to mark. You want to make things cognitively easier on yourself, and you want to be able to know, these fuel gauge dice that Doug has made from HBG. They're going to also allow you to know before you declare your attack. No, if this aircraft is coming from Moscow, coming from an airbase, it's going 1, 2, it's going to have 3 remaining. So before you even send your aircraft there, have that dice on the board, because it's going to help you remember that. These are such small things, but small things in terms of efficiency, in terms of eliminating. You want to develop these good habits. I cannot stress them enough. And in the last year and a half, this is what I was saying, is when you're talking about at the beginning of the game a grand strategy or whatever it is, I'm finding more and more that as soon as that first turn happens, all strategy, everything you planned often is out the window. It doesn't matter anymore. It's all read and react. Everything's read and react. And so when you're reading, reacting, and planning your strategy, every turn is its own strategy planning in itself. You might have thought you wanted to do this, but now because this one plane is there, this one infantry there, that has changed the entire dynamic of what you want to do. And this is where most players, I think, break down. A lot of players might have a winning strategy, but when they're forgetting to bring in these to blitz these 2 tanks because they're doing 4 other battles over here, and when it came to rolling the dice, and often, folks, as soon as you roll your first dice, that means that any other people that you forgot to bring in, whether it's an aircraft or a unit, you cannot bring it in. When it's a tournament game in real time, it is too late. So that is going to help you. Now, if you've got this this fuel gauge dice here and you've declared it, well, chances are you've already declared it. It's a done thing. So I want to talk about some other gaming aids that I have. I'm just going to go up here. Now these are the Sire Blood weathered dice. I've actually made these myself. I've got them in little holders. I've got enough to hold 6 regular dice, and each tray can hold 10 ones, 10 twos, 10 threes, and 10 fours, and then the fuel gauge dice, and I've got 2 sets. When I'm playing Global War 1939, sorry folks, these are all my other dice in the dice trays, so ready to go, ready to be stocked up. And it seems like more and more now, people that are playing by WhatsApp or just in general, they're getting away from having these big, battle boards or getting their, they want to roll their dice on the table with the camera, and they want to have a small dice rolling tray, something similar to this. So it's easy, can fit right on the board. Say you're going to put it here, you can nestle it right in. You can bring your camera right up to it and roll the dice, and you got them all, your dice ready to go. So that's why I like these little trays, because they're mobile. I can bring all the dice in the little tray wherever I'm going to roll. So that is very helpful. Also, when the battle is over, I like to get stuff out of the way quickly. I've got this little cup. It's actually, I believe it's an authentic. It says Luftwaffe 6/JG52 1943. So this is I think an authentic Luftwaffe. I don't even call it a dish. It looks like it's made out of aluminum. I bought it off eBay. But anyways, this is what I put. This is my dead pile. This is what I put all my dead units in. So that's helpful there. You want to be able to have things that are accessible to help you remind things, like remember to roll for a convoy, whatever is going to help you remember. So I've got the little convoy markers. We go over here. This is my setup. I have all my stuff on the side. You got your damage markers, your submerged markers, your pro-allied, pro-axis markers, which actually don't have out. All the victory markers all laid out. So basically, it's, you got things laid out in a way that's going to take whatever cognitive demand away from you. You've got all my different chips lined up, all the different stuff. These are my arrows. Now, folks, in a game, there's 6 phases. There's your research and development, there's your purchase new units and repair, your attack, your non-com, your place new units and collect income. And I find a lot of people, they only think about their purchase and attacks. And this is just me saying this, I believe the purchase of new units and placement and non-com are just as important as the attacks, and even more important. Because what I'm learning from Gargantua is because he always seems to have a follow-up. Like, go ahead and attack my stuff. The odds are it might be a 50-50 battle, or he has the advantage and you might win, but guess what? He has a follow-up and you don't. Well, how do you have a follow-up? A follow-up is always thought of in your purchases and your non-combat movements. If you're going to do an attack, don't just think, hey, this is really cool, I can take this out, but can you hold it? Do you have a follow-up? So these are the questions you need to be asking yourself when you're going through these 8 steps. And I've done a lot of coaching in hockey in my time, and I watched professionals play, professionals coach, watched the Vancouver Canucks practice. And one thing that always amazed me was the simplicity of the drills that the professionals do. They're not doing these, super complicated drills that require trigonometry to figure out. No. They break it down to the very basics that are taught when you're a 4 and a 5-year-old playing. And when I discuss the 6 steps, when you're planning to go to St. Louis or whether it's to play, this is what you need to master. It's not some grand strategy of taking London, of capturing Moscow, of taking Calcutta. Get your mind away from that. You need to work on the fundamentals, and these are the fundamentals. And the best way to learn them is to play via WhatsApp and on YouTube, because we all live in our little cities all over wherever we live. I would not be able to play VK and Hambone and Joe if I had, any other means. I would be stuck playing, who knows, maybe my brother or whoever else. And am I getting better? And Gargantua says this to me. He said, you want to be losing about 50% of your games or more, otherwise you're not getting better. You want to be pushing that envelope, because you only learn, or not only learn, but you learn a lot more from a defeat than you do from a victory. Just going through my notes here. I just want to quickly show you before I go into my closing. I just finished painting these SS infantry for actually 39. I don't know if you can see them or not. I'm going to put it on the board, but it has a little SS symbol on the base. It's in the camo. I haven't actually sprayed it with matte yet, so that's why it's got the sheen, but it's got the camo overcoat, the dark green pants, black boots. Yeah, and it's got the weathered look. So up close, it looks mean. It's not doing it justice here on camera, but just wanted to show you that. I forgot to mention one more thing. When you also are playing via WhatsApp and YouTube, you're talking about fundamentals of the game, you're going to make mistakes. Your opponents are going to make mistakes. And it's fantastic, because when you can stop in a video and go and rewind, you can figure out exactly what it was. And I guarantee you, if you make a mistake, it is going to be called out. And that is great, because you know what? That's how you're going to learn. Whenever I've played people from out of town or in a tournament setting, it's amazing some of the basic rules in a game that come up, and somebody says, I didn't know that. I interpret it differently. In my community, my dad, my brother, and my cousin, we play this way. And they would not have known unless they'd gone to a tournament, but they might have known if they'd played a game by WhatsApp or YouTube and been called out in a community. And something else, another tip I've learned, and this is something I constantly have to remind myself, is sort of a personal thing, and that is to speak slower. If you ever want to prepare for a job interview or whatever it is, or you're doing YouTube, and you look back at your video and you're making a lot of mistakes or you're rushing yourself, it just might be because you're rushing yourself and you're talking a little bit too fast. So you have to remind yourself to talk a little bit slower. And in closing here, I just want to say that, I used to be intimidated about having a channel. I saw, my good friend Hilltop Pillbox there. From time to time, he's had people like verbally attack what he's doing, call him out as a person or the strategy that he's doing or whatever it is. And folks, I just want to say that, hey, we're sitting here, we're playing with plastic pieces. We're a bunch of pretenders in that sense. I haven't met, really anybody in the community yet that I would say is a true tough guy. And when I mean tough guy, I mean I have friends that are in the Canadian Forces or the U.S. Marines or members who are gang members, and these people are killers. Okay, these people are the real deal. And when you get people online that are behind their keyboard that are anonymous, spouting off or attacking someone, I can tell you right away, I know they're not one of these tough guys. One of these people that I've come across in my life who are trained killers, and at the drop of a hat, you don't even know it's going to happen because they just react. Again, they've done it slow, they've done it a million times, they just react, and somebody's going to pay the price. And how do I know the difference? Is because these people in my life that I've come across that are the true tough guys, the guys that you don't want to mess with, they are the most anonymous people around. They don't talk about it. They're the happiest guy in the room. They're the funniest guy in the room. And even, people that came back that didn't serve in the Second World War, they didn't go around boasting off as tough guys and challenging people and calling them out. It's just not something they did. It's poor form. And to me, it's more a sign saying that you are lacking confidence. You're lacking confidence in yourself, in your own game, which is why you need to call somebody out. And in my experience, the bullies or people that like to go around and say this are usually the ones in a fight, when push comes to shove, when they get punched in the nose, the fight is usually over. It's usually over after one punch. So come to a little bit of defense of Hilltop Pillbox there. But I also know in his videos, when I play him, Hilltop Pillbox is never doing the same move or the same strategy twice. He's always trying something new. He's practicing. He's always going out there, doing a strategy. Sometimes it works, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he's refining things, or sometimes he's trying it for the first time for thinking it needs refinement later on. And whenever I play him, folks, I'm always on my toes because I never know what he's going to do. And so if you see him doing something in a video that's a little bit off, or why would somebody do that? Well, trust me, folks, he is a smart man, and he is trying something. And maybe that's the play test of how it works. He's looking to see. And I can tell you, when he comes to play me, it works because his record against me, he's almost undefeated. So I just wanted to point that out there, to be nice, to be classy, to respect other people. And if people are putting content out there, that we need to be respectful in our comments and appreciate them, and not be doing these verbal attacks or saying what they're doing is really stupid or whatever that is. It's just yes. So in saying that, I will say good night, and thanks for watching, folks. I encourage everybody, these games can take days, but when you break it down into playing by WhatsApp or YouTube, a game might last a month or 6 weeks, but you might have the time to do it. Thanks, folks, and stay tuned.